What is up, you guys? My name is Rachel Graham, and I'm a digital creator, a registered nurse, and a mom. And today, as you can see, we are going to be talking about cocaine and alcohol, the party combo that can stop your heart. Dun dun dun. So, cocaine is often glamorized in movies and music, and it might just seem like a party drug, but what it's actually doing to your brain and your body is very far from glamorous. In this video, I'm breaking down what happens the moment you do a line, the short term high, the long term damage it leaves behind, whether you're here to learn, recover yourself, or if you know somebody that has a problem with this combo. Send this video along or enjoy it for yourself. So, before we get into all that, I want to tell you a little bit about my personal experience with this drug. So, I first tried this when I was 17 years old. It was in the summer of 2002. My first impression was that, like, I absolutely loved it. I felt glamorous, cool, confident, invincible. I talked a lot. I already talk a lot. So, like, me on cocaine is like insane. So it was also free. So that's a little bit of an extra incentive. Had I had to pay for it, I probably wouldn't have done it, you guys. I honestly probably wouldn't have done it, but it's not about that. So did I ever do it alone, or was it always with alcohol? It was always with alcohol. That first time it was with alcohol, and every other time after that, it was with alcohol. Why did I do it? This is for my mom who's watching this, potentially her friends. Well, I think that why I did it is that I was just lost. I was lost in the scene. I was surrounded by people that partied, and it was completely normalized. This was not something that I like went outside of my friend group to attain. Like, this was something that people I knew did, and I just hadn't done it yet. Like, it was just like bound to happen. So I think it was just because it was normalized. I wasn't overly afraid of it. And it just kind of goes hand in hand when you're in a certain scene. So, and I was also quieting my anxiety. I was consuming too much alcohol. And that, if I trace it back, why did I drink so much? It was because I had severe anxiety and some other issues. And I think that the alcohol was just a self medication. And when you're really young, and especially when I was that age, the availability of, like, I would say actually the openness of conversation about having, mental health issues in, the early 2000s, late 90s, it was not as spoken about as it is now. So I think a lot of kids gravitated to just numbing out with drugs and alcohol instead of, like, now I think more kids are inclined to, they know, like, yeah, a lot of people have anxiety. You don't have to be nervous about talking about it. But I honestly don't even think I knew I had anxiety. It was just like I drank and I felt really good. I was like, wow, I feel normal. And drinking, why do I bring drinking up when we're talking about cocaine? But drinking alcohol clouds your judgment, right? So in that state of mind, many things are fair game. So cocaine also sobers you up. Like, it makes you feel less drunk. So you can therefore, like, drink more. Like, if you've had way too much to drink and you do a little bit, not even a lot, but just a little bit, it'll, like, sober you up. So then you end up drinking more, and it's just like the cycle continues. So why am I even sharing this? Why am I talking about this? I'm 40 years old. I have a 4-year-old son. I'm married. My life looks nothing like what it used to. And so you think, like, why would I even want to bring this up? The point is that I want to be transparent. And I put some little bullet points here. I want to be transparent about drug and alcohol use with my son. He's too young now, but this video, he will probably see this at some point, right? Because it'll be on the internet for the rest of my life now and his life and beyond. So I think it's really important to be really open about these topics so your kids feel comfortable coming to you. So I want him to know that it's also okay to be curious. It's okay to have questions about drugs and alcohol and other things, because there's many, many temptations in the world, right? And I want him to feel educated. I want him to feel empowered so he can make informed decisions when he's faced with these issues in his own life, right? I want him to be a leader in his friend group. I want him to know that he comes from a family that's accepting, that is communicative, and that he feels is a safe place to be. That's how I want him to feel. So I do, like I said, about my own experience, I think kids gravitate to drugs and alcohol because they're seeking acceptance. They're not able to think about the consequences. They don't even have that cognitive ability. At the age of 14, you don't have the cognitive ability. You don't even really understand. Like, you understand basic cause and effect and right and wrong, but it's really hard to project into the future, right? And then also, like I said, about undiagnosed mental illnesses, like something as common now as just like low level social anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder. That was not a thing that people talked about in 1999, right? When I was dealing with it. So the other big thing that I think contributed to this is kind of piggybacking on the previous slide of like, why did I get into that? Music and culture. I was always obsessed with music. I was always obsessed with, like cool magazines and like the it girls and boys of the hour. And like, I wasn't really ever into like models or celebrities. It was musicians. It was the musicians and their lifestyles. And when you watch music videos, maybe not as much anymore. I don't even watch music videos anymore, but you see substance abuse and it's completely normalized, like, and obviously in movies and whatever. And I think in my 14-year-old brain, 16-year-old brain, 17-year-old brain, you're like, in the back of your mind, you're kind of thinking, well, in that video, like, J-Lo was drinking champagne or XYZ, whoever it is. But I do remember one video with J-Lo where it was like this very glamorous life. And I feel like she was like drinking champagne or something. And then years later, I realized that like J-Lo didn't even drink alcohol. And I remember being like, but in that video you were. And it was like, I feel like there was this disconnection between reality and like, those are music videos. Like, that is a staged situation. And so for me, that really impacted my use of substances, because when you're under the influence, a lot of times you feel like you're in a music video. All right, let's move on. What is cocaine and how does it work? So it's a powerful stimulant drug and it comes from a cocoa plant. So it seems kind of innocuous. It's like, oh, it's from the earth. It's most commonly snorted, but it can also be smoked or injected. And once it enters your system, it heads straight for your brain. So here's what happens in your body when you snort a line. I'm not going to talk as much about smoking or injecting because I don't think they're as commonly abused. So it enters through your nose, obviously, and then it's absorbed through the mucous membranes inside those nasal passages. Then it quickly passes through the tiny blood vessels, which are called capillaries, that line your nose. And this happens within seconds. So then it travels through your bloodstream directly to your brain. So it is a fat soluble substance. So that means it can cross the blood brain barrier very, very quickly. In the brain, cocaine then blocks something called the dopamine transporter. So normally, after dopamine is released, it's then reabsorbed. So what cocaine does is it blocks the reabsorption. So it causes dopamine to flood and remain in your brain. So it also blocks the reuptake of norepinephrine and serotonin, which leads to that intense euphoric rush you feel. So what is the short-term effect on your body? So the heart and cardiovascular system, it raises your heart rate and blood pressure absolutely immediately. It increases your risk for heart attack, stroke, sudden cardiac death, even after just one use. The heart muscle, it needs more oxygen, but it's actually getting less of it because of the constricted coronary arteries. And that is a perfect storm for a heart attack. It can cause irregular heartbeats like atrial fibrillation. And I have another video on AFib, so watch out for that one, because what it's doing is cocaine is actually disrupting that electrical system that your heart has built into it. So it can cause sudden deadly heart rhythms like ventricular fibrillation, which is especially dangerous in people that have underlying undiagnosed heart conditions. So any of this can occur without warning, guys. It can occur the first time you try this drug combined with alcohol or not. It can occur alone, but it's worse when you combine it with alcohol. So the chances are super likely of having any of these events happen if you mix cocaine with alcohol or energy drinks or other stimulants or ADHD meds, which is what a lot of people do. Like I said, for me personally, I would never have done it without alcohol in my system. Never. Brain and nervous system is affected by this, you guys. Anxiety, paranoia, aggression, loss of judgment, increase in risk taking and behaviors. I think that's like, if anything, that's like the biggest thing that you think of when you think of someone on cocaine. Like, you're taking risks. You don't give two bleeps about anything. Other than like yourself and the fabulous life you're leading, even if you're in like a dingy basement with like random strangers, you're like, oh my God, I'm like a model. And it's like, no, you're not. You're literally a loser. But okay, never mind. Sorry. I didn't mean to insult you. I'm actually insulting my previous self. That's fine. So, lungs and respiratory system. So when you snort this, it obviously irritates your nasal passages. Duh. You can suffer from postnasal drip, a deviated septum over time, and frequent nosebleeds. That's very common. Um, and I wasn't really going to talk about when you smoke or inject. Over time, this can lead to myopathy or a weakened heart muscle. So, short term effects on the body continued. It affects so many different systems, you guys. Your eyes are affected. You're going to get dilated pupils. You're going to have blurred vision, sensitivity to light. And these things can contribute to increased eye pressure. Your ears and mouth are affected by this. This is rare, but it can happen. You can get sudden hear loss because of vasoconstriction and blood flow changes. It can literally stop your hearing. And if I would have known just that little tidbit, maybe that would have been enough to like keep me from doing it. Because if I could never hear the sound of my grandmother's voice again or like the sound of music, I literally don't think I would have taken a chance on it, even if the chances of actually having hearing loss were low. So maybe that's going to be it for you. I don't know. Obviously, dry mouth, cotton mouth, we would used to call it. Clenching your jaw, teeth grinding. I think the it's not even jaw clenching; it's wiggling of your lower jaw. Like if you see someone that's like going like that, like it's sure as shit they're probably on some, most likely this drug. Digestive system, loss of appetite. A lot of people that are using this with combined with alcohol, of course, you're not eating food. You're not focused on that. You're not hungry. You're again focused on your faux fabulous life, even though you're in a deplorable situation. Probably, maybe you are in a fancy situation. That's the other thing. You could be in a really glamorous situation doing this drug, because this drug does not discriminate. It will affect anybody in any walk of life. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. If you're poor though, it's going to be a little harder to attain since it's a little bit expensive. And then reduced blood flow to the GI tract can cause ulcers or abdominal pain. And we continue the damage on the body, you guys. The liver. The liver is what metabolizes cocaine and its byproducts. So short-term stress on the liver, it increases its workload. If combined with alcohol, which what I'm saying is it's most commonly combined with alcohol, it produces a third substance called cocaethylene, which is more toxic than either substance alone, and it damages the liver cells readily. The other organ affected is your kidneys. So short-term vasoconstriction, so that tightening of the vessels, reduces kidney blood flow. You risk having an acute kidney injury due to dehydration. Because cocaine triggers that high blood pressure, and your kidneys are what control blood pressure in your body. So you're putting more stress on your kidneys that they do not need. Skin and muscle. So you're going to have increased body temperature. For sure, you're going to be sweating. The person that's on cocaine is sweating. Maybe you're going to have some muscle twitching. You kind of like lose like weird control of like your face. I feel like you end up like doing weird like things with your mouth, and like it's not a cute look, and it's something that you're completely unaware of when you're actually on it, and other people are just like that aren't on it or looking at you like, yeah, we know what's up. Reproductive system. This is one I was not aware of, and I don't think a lot of boys that I knew that did this drug were aware of this. It can cause sexual dysfunction, despite a falsified feeling of an increased libido. So that's an interesting dynamic. So you're going to feel the sensation of having an increased libido, but it's actually damaging your menstrual cycle in women, and it reduces the sperm count and sperm motility in men. So it's actually, things are not good in the reproductive area if you're on this drug. Immune system. So it temporarily weakens your immune response. It increases your susceptibility to infections then, especially if you're injecting this, obviously. So using this drug puts every single organ in your body at risk. The central nervous system and the cardiovascular system are especially vulnerable, especially when combining cocaine with alcohol. So I'm going to end this video here. This is going to be part 1 of cocaine and alcohol, the party combo that can stop your heart. The second video, part 2, is going to be on what is cocaethylene, and we're going to talk further about long-term risks of cocaine use, and then is there a light at the end of the tunnel. So You should be seeing it pop up somewhere here. Click on part 2. If you're done and you just wanted to hear this much, then that's great. Pass it on to someone who could really use seeing this. I care about you guys. I don't make these videos to shame people or to embarrass people. I make these videos on preventative wellness and now moving into a little more focus on substances because I once struggled with this stuff. I struggled with this and I luckily got out unscathed, relatively. Like I had some, traumatic situations happen, but I didn't get kidney failure. I didn't get atrial fibrillation. I didn't have a stroke. My heart didn't stop. And I feel extremely lucky and blessed, you guys, because there's absolutely no reason why I didn't have something like that happen. I ingested enough of this drug combined with alcohol and other substances in the same nights that I shouldn't be here right now, you guys. So I make these videos to inspire you to just get rid of all that. Just live a clean and sober life, you guys. So I'm getting off my soapbox. I'll see you guys in the next one.